This is 25 to Life with Uncle Yashua.
Rolling down 109 in a truck. Pull my ride up to the light, that's what's up. Look to my right and it's a ride rolling up. It's Lucci telling me tonight we in the club. He got the 24 road Escalade. He got the Lamborghini doors like they blades. His hammers ring cause that's how he was raised. His palace mob and tonight we get
Listen, I'm from the ghetto, the slums, the rats, the roaches, the bums, the metal that stuns, the addicts, the cracks, the crumbs. The level where funds is tragic and lavish is none. With rebels, they runs and rabbits like savages' sons. With did him and big it and swiftly he shined the mud. That city a pity with 50 took 9 of them slugs. This is 25 to Life with Uncle Yashua. This is 25.
What's good? What's good? 25 to Life Testimony TV family. Let me make sure y'all can see and hear me. Hold on, let me put the comments up. That'll let me know whether they can see or hear me. Welcome everybody to the channel. Welcome everybody back. All right, welcome everybody in New York City who'll be coming in a little later. All right, shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to Texas in the building. Shout out to the Bronx, New York City in the building. Shout out to Kansas City in the building. Shout out to California in the building. All right. Shout out to North Carolina in the building. Shout out to Pennsylvania in the building. Shout out to Atlanta, GA in the building. All right. Welcome back to Uncle Yashua 25 to Life Testimony TV. We're going to get started. Tonight going to be a real good one, guys. It's going to be very interesting, and I think it's going to be very entertaining. I think we should have a little fun tonight. All right, put a lot of work into this tonight. So now, I'm going to get started. Let me scroll down to the bottom of the chats. All right, thank you. Let me check my volume, make sure I see where it's at, make sure. All right, cool. That's kind of loud. Let me bring it down a little. All right, because I ain't going to get too loud, but yeah, that's a little better. All right, that's a little better. All right, it was all right where it was at because I ain't going to get too loud tonight. So anyway, yeah, so tonight's story, we're going to have some fun tonight. It's going to be a little fun on this channel tonight. All right, here we go. We're going to, let me grab this. Let me grab it. Where is it? Right. It should be open. Oh, it's open already. All right, it's open already. I tried to prepare. Present, share screen, bang. Window, yeah, bang, share screen. This is the thumbnail. Let me see I can't see what y'all see yet. Give me a second. Oh, yeah, there you go. It's pretty decent size, too. Let's see if it'll get bigger. Oh, there you go. There we go. That's cooking with olive oil right there. Right there. I love it when they do it right there. Shalom, Sister Phyllis Richards in the building. All right, so this thumbnail right now, this is the title for tonight's story. Hunted in New York City by white boys, by white men. The title says something. Laria, could you put the title for me in the chat? This was the story that I wanted to tell on the last one. Shout out to Ahana Ya in the building, as well as Ayana in the building. Shout out to Maya in the building. All right, the title is Hunted and Stalked by White Men and Dogs in New York City, a crazy true story. It's a very, very disturbing story, but it's going to be a very informative story. I put a lot of work in, so I'm going to be live with y'all tonight we're going to walk this down. This was the story that I wanted to play. I think it was the last live. Yeah, the last live that we did, the one where I told the story about the UFOs. This was the show I had for y'all that night, but that's when my computer got attacked and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't give y'all the show. And then I just I was like, okay, I need to do something. And I remembered the UFO story. So tonight we're going to do the story that I wanted to do back. That was on Halloween when I wanted to do this story because of the scary and darkness of Halloween and that time of year. And this story right here is very haunting. It's very disturbing, and it's really it's really dark. But there's a lot of it's gonna be a good one. I put a lot of work into this, and all praise the Most High, came out really good. So without further ado, we're gonna get into the story. Hunted and stalked by white men and white boys, teenagers, and dogs in New York City during the 70s. Well, it was happening before that, but when I came up in the 70s into the early 80s, um, it wasn't just in Mississippi and down south where they were hunting. These are not all white people. These were the negative white people, the devilish. Remember, we got devilish black people, devilish Asians, devilish whites, devilish whatever nationality or race or color, whatever you want to see. There's good and bad in all people. These were the bad so-called white men and boys that would hunt us down. I was a child. And they would hunt us down in the streets. It was dangerous. Because you would have to keep your head on swivel for any car coming or any group that you might see. But they would come from cars because I lived in the black neighborhood. I lived in Hempstead, Strong Island. It was all black, everything. It's a big black Air Force One sneaker. That's just a jokey joke. But they would come from these towns like Levittown and East Meadow and these all white segregated neighborhoods, and they would drive into the hood, the ghetto, to hunt us down. This was the life I lived as a child in New York City. And I got used to it. I'm trying to think, did it cause trauma? I guess that is trauma, that I'm used to being hunted down to be unalived as a child. That's trauma, for that to be a normal. But this is all we knew. All right, so now we're going to get right into the story. All right, let's get started. Let me stop share. Let me, here we go. How I do it. Share screen. All right, I quite take that away. Present. Share screen. Bang. Also share tab audio, yes. Share. Let me see what y'all see. Okay, make that full screen. All right, then make me go away. Let me do this correctly. Get Unc out the way. Let me get myself on out the way. Go to right here, bang, and then go to where you at? This one. Bang. There we go. And then if I want to come in, yeah, I can come down in the corner somewhere out the way. I don't need to be in the way. All right? All right. And yeah, bang. So I'm out the way. It's full screen. Let me make sure it's full screen. It's gonna be I think we're gonna enjoy this tonight. I think this is gonna be kind of fun. All right. So let me, where is my window, bro? Right there. Okay, so it's this one. And then move it over here. Okay. And now, I don't know which one is full screen. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure we do this correctly. I don't want to see this later and be like, what did I do? Bro, what is it doing right now? It's doing some foolish stuff. Of course it is. Can someone in the chat, can y'all tell me which one of these are bigger? It's doing something really foolish to me. Of course. Oh, that one is. I can see it. All right. I got it. Let's get started. The thumbnail, hunted and stalked by white men and white boys in New York City. Here we go. Now we're going to rewind. We're going back in history when Unc was a little boy. Now, when I was a little boy in Hempstead, Strong Island, right? There was another little boy who lived by me. His name was Method Man from Wu-Tang Clan. Method Man is from Hempstead, Strong Island. He tells you that. They even did it in their little Hulu movie series, but they played it off. Of course they did. They try to act like, they did a little bit of his little, but his mom moved him to Staten Island. He was from Circle Drive by Martin Luther King Drive. Meth used to live back there. I remember him, his sister, his family. Meth was the little boy. I remember Meth who used to run around, and Meth always had snot in his nose. This is hilarious. And if you listen to his first album, Wu-Tang, he say, running those snot nose or something. And when I laughed when I heard him rap that, because I don't know, maybe it was a condition or something. Those little kids, guys, that you see that always got snot on their nose? They be sitting there every time you see them, like, boy, come here. You wipe your nose. Always got snotty nose. In the Martin comedy show, remember Martin, the little boy, he always had snot on his nose? Method Man was one of those. He always had snot on his nose. Only Hempstead dudes would know that, because it's before we were little kids. He's a couple of years younger than me. Now, Meth used to play basketball, but he was really good at lacrosse. He put that in his Hulu series. That was Long Island we was playing lacrosse for. And Long Island was no joke with lacrosse. They taught us lacrosse because the white neighboring counties were good at lacrosse. So we were good at football, and then they taught us lacrosse. And lacrosse, you get to hit with a stick. So we like lacrosse. You get a stick and it's like football. You get to hit and tackle, but you got a stick and you can hit. So we learned lacrosse and we became good. So Meth was good at lacrosse. So anyway, now Hempstead, we are football city. Y'all remember my story with the football, right? So we are football. So Meth was too. So now in Hempstead, we had the New York Jets. Y'all remember my story with the New York Jets about the Huntington story. So the Jets became the Super Bowl champions in They were the most famous Super Bowl football team of all time back then, the New York Jets, with Joe Namath and Boozer Emerson and all the rest. Ernie Snell, I think it's Ernie Snell, I forget some of the name, but they were the most famous football. They were like Hollywood Joe. They were famous, like Pretty Boys and stuff, right? So, and the New York Jets was located in Hempstead. So they practiced at a place called Hofstra University, a college. And so they practiced at Hofstra University, right? And that's on the Heights, right by Granddaddy IU, where his house lives. It's a nice area right before you get to Uniondale, before you go and get to the Nassau Coliseum, the famous Nassau Coliseum where Lauryn Hill talked about, and Nas talked about at Nassau Coliseum, the Lauryn Hill song. At the Nassau Coliseum, whatever. I got some stories coming about the crazy. Brooklyn and all that is crazy story. Nassau Coliseum. Anyway, so I want to do something real quick. I've been holding it. I was debating whether I should interrupt the show to say this, but it's been killing me. But this lacrosse. So lacrosse, guys, is a sport that white boys play. Right? In the hood, we play basketball and football and stuff, right? We don't really play too much baseball. We really play basketball and football. But because in Strong Island, where I'm from, in most ghettos, you have white neighborhoods surrounding it, right? And this was way back in the 70s. So it was a lot more whites in neighborhoods surrounding the ghettos, right? Before white flight that they moved out, right? So they introduced us to a sport called lacrosse. Now, this is a sport where you wear shoulder pads and stuff and a helmet. It's kind of like football because you get to hit, right? And us kids in the ghetto, that's why we love football so much, because you get to hit and take out your little manhood aggression and stuff, right? But lacrosse was a sport that you get to hit, but they also give you a stick. Right? So the crazy thing with this sport was, it was like in the hood, first we didn't know what lacrosse, I don't even know how to say that word, right? We don't know what that is. But then when the white coaches tried to show us how to play it, we realized, and it's a skill set because you got to twirl, you got to have a ball and twirl it and throw it and all that. But it's like you got a stick and you can hit. Now, if you get these little ghetto kids a stick and say they can hit, oh yeah, it was on in lacrosse. Lacrosse used to hurt because you could get hit and you get hit with that stick too. So anyway, I just wanted to say that because when I was telling the story, so when Method Man, who grew up in Hemstroke Island, and they Showtime movie or whatever show they did, when they told his history, they showed him playing lacrosse when he was young. And that's because that's what we played in Hempstead Strong Island, because they introduced us to it. And the white boys in the surrounding, when you in sports and you play against the other neighborhoods, the other towns and cities around, you play against them. Those white boys was good at lacrosse, so we got good too. But it was a very violent sport with a stick. All right. So anyway, let me continue. Sorry, I probably shouldn't even interrupt you just for that. But I'm sitting there like, I want to interrupt this for a second. All right, here we go. The Jets used to practice for the next coming football season at Hofstra College football field. So we, on Parkside Projects, we used to always go to the Jets practice. And Method Man used to go too. And Method Man told this story on Angie Martinez's show back in the days. He told this story. That's when I first heard him tell the story. And I was like, I didn't know that happened to Meth too, right? But I remember him, but he was a little younger than me. He hung with Butter in them, right? Now, this before he moved to Terrace too. So Meth moved to Terrace Avenue, but before that, he's from Parkside. Meth Man's from Circle Drive. All right, now, what we would do, guys, we would go to watch the Jets practice as little kids. I was, at this time, I'm 7, 8 years old. I'm probably 8, right? I'm a little kid, 7 or 8, little. So we would go to watch the Jets practice because they would give us things. They would give us footballs, jerseys, all type of Jets memorabilia. They would feed us. We would get lunch when they would eat because we would help them in the practice. So we would put the cones down. We would go fetch the footballs. We would the coach, they would give us jobs to do and we would do it, right? Now, before, when we would go to do the jobs, we would walk. Now we're little kids, so it would be a bunch of us. It might be 7 to 8, maybe 10 of us, and we would walk. And so it was probably like a 20-minute walk, might even be a half an hour, because we had to walk from Parkside to the Heights, almost leaving. Now, the dangerous part is all of our areas were surrounded by white towns, and the whites would try to kill the black kids. It was very dangerous, life and death dangerous. They had this thing called Igga Ball with an N. Nicka Ball, I don't want to say the word. Igga Ball. The white people, white men, these weren't kids, these were older, they would be older teenagers and grown white men that would do this to us little kids. We're 7 and 8 years old. On Halloween, when we would go trick-or-treating, we would always have to be together in bunches and be on the swivel at all times because the white neighboring towns would all converge to the black hoods, to him, I'm talking about for Hempstead. They would converge and they would all come in cars, bands of white boys in cars to play Igga Ball with an N. Igga Ball meant we're walking with trick-or-treating, you got your bag of candy, and as you're walking, let me do this correctly. We walking, now remember this time. I'm gonna tell the time of what I experienced a couple of times. We're walking and we had the warnings, but you're having so much fun trick-or-treating that you forget. You forget that the danger, very dangerous. So we're walking, it's dark, because in New York in the winter, it gets dark at 5 p.m., 5:30. So when we go trick-or-treating in New York, it's already dark, right? So it's nighttime. So we're walking and we walking and all I hear was, and you hear everybody like, ah! I see people start running, and I turn and look, and all I see is this car flying, and I see this white boy stick his hand out, and a bat comes out the window. And what they call Igaball was they would ride and they would creep up on the little black kids walking for trick or treat on the sidewalk. And they would, when they get close to them, they would hit the gas, speed, roll the window down, and take a bat and try to hit the head of a little black kid in a car going 50, 60, 70 miles an hour with a bat. Igaball was them trying to take the head off. The game was to decapitate the little black kid, knock the head off his body with the bat. Hit it so hard with the speed of the car that the impact would knock the head off of his shoulders. You know how you play stick ball and you put the ball on the stick and then you hit it off? They called it Igaball. This was Hempstead Strong Island. So when we would go out trick-or-treating, we would have to keep eye. And another thing they would do is they would ride around on Halloween. And so Halloween was hunting season for them. They would hunt little black boys. On Halloween, they would ride around and they would also stick guns out the window. And they would ride and you would hear, and then a gun would come out the window, boom, boom, and all the kids, we're all running and scattering in our Halloween costumes as little kids. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That was our reality back in the 70s on Strong Island. I'm quite sure Brooklyn, all of them went through different things. I've heard stories in the Bronx. This is what they would do. They would come into our neighborhood to hunt us down, the kids. Now, here we go. We're going to Hofstra, and Method Man told this story too, and Angie Martinez. So we would do this every day when they would practice. So this particular day, we're going. So now, as we walk to Hofstra, we have to leave kind of the comforts of the ghetto, the safety of the hood, and go into like Uniondale, where Busta Rhymes and them is from, Leaders of the New School, which was more half middle class. But back then, a lot of the whites were in there with the houses. And then Hofstra was right about to leave Hempstead, going into East Meadow and going into Uniondale and going into Levittown, the whites. So they would come. So we went, we walked, we got to the Jets football practice. Bang, we did the practice, everything fun, we having fun, we got all our stuff. They always feed us, they give us a bunch of memorabilia and stuff. So now we leave. So when we leave the Jets practice, now we gotta walk the 30 minutes back to Parkside Projects in Hempstead. It's about 7 of us. We ranging from age 7 to probably 12. I'm like 7 at this time, 7 or 8. So we're walking. Every time we left the Jets practice, even coming, but more so when we leave, because when we leave, it'd be later. It'd be later in the day after the practice. So we always get nervous when we leave because we got to make it home. and the white, that's good, daughter. Yeah, she said, yeah, Masha, yeah, she says blood sacrifice. And the white men would stalk us and hunt us. So we would always keep an eye out and watch every car. As we cross the street, we watching any cars for the white man. I'm sorry that this is just reality. So my white brothers and sisters that's not negative, don't get triggered. It's just the truth. This is our reality. So this particular time, we walking home. So we got to walk up Hempstead Turnpike, and then we get to, I think it's Jack in the Box. I forgot the name of that restaurant that was there, right? I forgot. I don't think it was Jack in the Box. It was some restaurant that was there. And then we would turn down, because we try to take a shortcut to go to Parkside. So we would turn down those side streets. And those side streets have nice houses, and they're like almost in Uniondale. So it's like the whites still lived in those areas. This before it was fully over, now it's all black. But this is back then in the 70s, it was still some whites there. Now, so I remember we walking up Hempstead Turnpike, and that was the dangerous, because that's what lead to East Meadow with the jail at Nassau County Jail and Levittown and all that, where all the whites come from. They fly down there to come from there, wilding in the cars. Bunch of cars, be like out the window. We would hear this all the time, guys. In the street, you'll just hear a car go, yes, shooting guns. They just had fun trying to kill us, right? Now, I took out the curses now. So it's saying they would run down the street saying, niggas. That's what you would hear. The car, it'd be 10 or 5, they hanging out the car, niggas. Like, it was a very, very, very dangerous, very, very dangerous time. All right. I just took out a lot of the cuss words, because some of these stories I told when I first started doing the 25 to Life channel. And when I tell the stories, I relive it, and it's like I'm back in the place. And when the Most High first got me to release this channel, it would evoke, I would say the words that they would say on this when I would tell the story. Now I've grown, and I'm so thankful that I can tell the story and still be in the visual presence of it, but I can grab the word and don't have to repeat it and still have the authenticity of the story being told. But back then, when I first released the channel, I didn't have that election and power. And it's a show and a proof testimony to my growth, because I was new in this space. I didn't curse in my regular everyday life back then when I released this channel. But when I start telling these stories, it's like I regress back to when I was there and what would happen. So now, as I remake the stories and tighten them up, I'm able to remove the curses and able to add more visuals and things to make the story really become visually appealing and come to life. All right. So they would say, niggas. Right? So you would watch. So we would have to make sure we keep looking to any cars that come up, because the ones that'll catch you out there is when they creep up on you and you don't know. And by the time they say niggas, they right there with a gun or a bat or whatever, stick, pipe, whatever they got. And we were children. It just was our reality. It's so funny because I was getting a little bit of traumatic, a little, as it was telling the story, I was starting to feel a little bit of trauma. I'm like, man, it's starting to make me a little emotional. It's like I'm replaying when I was young and this was happening. Let me continue. I don't even know. Hold on, I don't even know. Can y'all see me? Oh no, y'all just hear me. Okay. All right. So now I can just, okay, I didn't come on the screen. I can just play it from here. So we walking. So we wanted to get off. That's why, guys, I know some people like, why don't y'all just keep walking up Hempstead Turnpike and then turn? Because you didn't want to be on Hempstead Turnpike, because that was the street that the cars would, you'll see they would come up. So we would, once we got by that restaurant, I forgot what it was. I wish somebody from Hempstead could write and tell me what that was. I think it was Jack in the Box. We would turn down the side street so we'll be off the main street, Hempstead Turnpike. So now we come from the Hofstra. It's about 7 of us. We on Hempstead Turnpike. We walking up. So we getting up. We laughing, having fun, talking, and we just about to the restaurant where we're gonna make the left turn, and from then we'll take all back streets. And we basically won't be on no main street, so we be safe relatively for the most part, unless on one of the back streets, one of those cars or white people see us, right? Now this is our mission. Everywhere we go, we gotta make it home safely. This is the reality that I lived in. Nice. We have to make it life or death. They're trying to kill us as kids. So now we walking, we playing, we having fun, we walking. We almost at the restaurant, and all of a sudden, we hear, woo, and we look, and it's a car white. They out the car. They be all four windows. They be like, "We gonna kill you, nigga!" And we like, oh, and we just take off running. This, guys, is life or death. This is our reality. They're coming to kill us. We take off running. I'm little. I'm like the slowest because I'm one of the youngest, and the older you get, the stronger and faster. And when we take off, we don't really run together. It's every man for himself. So we take off, and the car's coming. And they just yelling, "We're gonna kill you, we're gonna kill you." And I'm like, now, I'm scared because I've lived this reality. They've killed some of my friends. I've seen my friends die. I'm gonna tell other stories that I've seen my friends die. I've seen dead bodies from a child, okay? So this is for real, it's life or death. So I'm scared and I run. And so when the car is barreling down on us, so I'm like, I gotta get off the main street. So I hit the left when we got to the Jack in the Box or whatever restaurant that was. I hit the left, boom. I think that's called Williams. I forgot the name of that street that's right there. I hit the left, boom. And when I hit the left, and a couple of us hit the left, and some of them went straight. Some of them, like, we split up. So the car like, woo. So then I hit the left, boom, and I'm running. And then all of a sudden, I hear the car turn the corner. And I'm like, I look back, I'm like, right? I'm like, they coming after me. It's about 3 of us running. And I'm being left because they're faster than me. So I'm like 7 years old, I'm running, and I look back, and I'm like, and the car's like, catch that nigga. And I'm like, I'm like, so I'm running, and the car's running, and it's like, ooh, and it's getting closer. And I'm running, I'm looking back, and like, we're gonna kill you. And I'm running, and so I look, and I'm like, they're about to catch me. So I turn and I cut through this yard. I make a right? They're a little further back, right? So, and they barreling down, and I make the right, and I cut through this yard. And so when I cut through this yard, there's a fence. So I hit the fence, and I climb the fence, and I jump over. So I jump over. Now they're a little further back, right? They barreling down, so I cut through the yard. And when I cut through, I hit the fence, and I jumped over the fence. Now, I go, and there's a tree, there's a big tree in the yard. The yard is big. So I run, and I'm like, I don't know where to go, right? So I run, and the yard it's like empty, open, and there's a big tree. So I run to the tree, and I look up, and I wanna grab the tree and climb up in the tree and hide in the tree. but I can't reach the branch. It's too high. So I don't know what to do. I'm young. So I just hide behind the tree. I just like try to hide. So then I hear the car screech, and it stopped, and the door's open, and they're like, where you go? And it's like he went in one of these yards. They're like, we're gonna find you, we're gonna find you, we're gonna kill you. Like they're taunting me. So sorry for the N-word. I just gotta keep it, you know me. It's just, this is the truth. I guess I'm in the space now. It's not okay. This is traumatizing. So they're like, we're gonna kill you, Igga. We're gonna kill you, Igga. So I turn to the other, I'm like scared. I'm a little kid. So I'm hiding and I don't know what to do. I can't run. I don't know what to do. So I hear him like, you go in that yard. You go take that yard. So they separate. So I'm like, so I'm scared. I'm too scared to run. I'm scared, guys. So I just stay there shaking. And I'm on the side of the tree. And all of a sudden, I hear, and I peek my head out the side of the tree, and a dog walked from the other side of the house to the backyard. And I hear, so I guess he was on the other side of the house in the front. I jumped on this side. So he came and I hear, and I look and I see his head and he steps his body around and he's looking at me going, and I'm like, it's a Doberman Pinscher. I meant to grab an image of a Doberman to show y'all. For some people don't know. A Doberman Pinscher is the dogs that was popular in the 70s. It was a German Shepherd and a Doberman Pinscher. You either had a big German Shepherd, these dogs are huge, or you had a Doberman. They're big. Dobermans are black, shiny. Guys, that was literally the dog that I saw looking at me. So when I first put the first image of the dog, that's what it looked like. And I'm little. I'm like, I think I was probably like 8 or 9. Not 7, I was probably 8 or 9. So I'm little and this dog is huge. I wish I could have went back to right where the first picture. So the first picture when I showed that dog, that's what I saw looking at me. And it looked like a monster, bro. And it was mean. Dobermans were really mean in the hood. So he came and I hear, and I look and I see his head. So let me get it at the right spot. I'm scared, guys.
I think I went back.
So I just stay there shaking. And I'm on the side of the tree and all of a sudden I hear, and I peek my head out the side of the tree and a dog walked from the other side of the house to the backyard. And I hear, so I guess he was on the other side of the house in the front. I jumped on this side. So he came and I hear, and I look and I see his head and he steps his body around and he's looking at me going, that's what I saw. I'll never forget, I tried to find the proper image of the way the dog looked. And that's exactly how it looked. And I'm a little kid. And it's looking at me. And I knew Dobermans because Dobermans was in the hood. And I'm like, and he looking at me, he looking at me just like this dog is looking at y'all right now on the screen. All right? Maya said, I know a family who has two-year-old chocolate Doberman. He's huge. Laria said she had 3 dobies. Um, what somebody Abiyah said something. Sorry, I missed it. They are okay. Yeah, Abiyah said they some cowards the ones chasing us. All right. So yeah, as a little kid, I'm looking at this thing looking at me. Okay. he he came around the house like and like I'm like, oh my God. Like I'm scared to death running from the crazy white boys who trying to kill me. And now this doggone monster is looking at me. This dog is like a monster to a little boy. All right, let me continue. And I'm like, it's a Doberman Pinscher. I meant to grab an image of a Doberman to show y'all. For some people don't know. A Doberman Pinscher is the dogs that was popular in the 70s. It was a German Shepherd and a Doberman Pinscher. You either had a big German Shepherd, these dogs are huge, or you had a Doberman. They're big. Dobermans are black, shiny. They look just like Rottweilers, but like skinny, but big. But not skinny where they're small, they're just streamlined. Rottweilers are big and huge, and Dobermans are fast. They're like big greyhounds, but black. And they look just like Doberman, where the skinny, no, Snoop Dogg turned into a Doberman in the Snoop Doggy Dogg music video. Snoop Doggy, that was a dog. He looked like a Doberman with his face. Snoop Doggy Dogg. Now, and you either had a Doberman or German Shepherds, and Dobermans were more wicked because German Shepherds were trained. They were easy. German Shepherds were loyal. They were called German Shepherds because the Germans used them to hunt people down and stuff, right? So, but Dobermans, yes, they were scary like pit bulls are now. I later now found out, I correct myself from then, that Dobermans are very loyal, but in the hood, we were training them to be attack dogs. They were training them to be monsters. They can be temperamental, but they're very good, loyal dogs, very protective to their owners and their family. They are good family dogs that will protect your children. I've since making this video, I've studied and learned about the breed. So what we experienced in the hood was people training the Dobermans to be killers. And so they were just really doing what they were, lean muscle. You see how I look? You see how shiny black? That was a beautiful black coat, right? So now I correct that. They are very loyal, but in the hood, they were very dangerous because now I learned they were trained that way. All right, let me continue. I say, yeah, absolutely. Dobermans were more dangerous because Dobermans were mean. Dobermans had an attitude. They had like a personality. So they were mean. Dobermans was no joke. All right. They have an old movie about dogs called Doberman, something they were killer dogs. They had a whole movie over them. So anyway, it was a Doberman and it was big. So I'm standing on a tree, right? And all I hear is, so I peek out the side of the tree and his Doberman, his rest of his body came around. And he's standing there looking at me going, and I'm like, oh. I look at him, he look at me. I look to the left, and there's more yard to the last fence. I look back at the Doberman. The funny thing was, guys, I looked at him, he looked at me. I looked at the fence, he looked at the fence. I looked back at him, he looked back at me. And he started walking, taking steps. I look, I'm like, I got to go. I said, boom, I took off. He said, ah, and he took off. Boom. So he took off, I took off from the tree. So I'm running and he's running across. Like I'm here, I'm running from the tree, he's over here. I'm running towards here, the fence is back here. I'm running, he took off. It's like this. And he's coming, I'm like, I'm running, and took off, shoot, 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 and I'm like, I'm running for my life, God, I'm run, and he's getting close. I'm like, he's like nailing me. He's getting there, he's getting there, and then I jump and I grab the fence, boom, and when I grabbed the fence, and I went to pull up, he jumped, and grabbed the back of my leg and my pants, and he started, and I'm like, I'm screaming. I scream and I try to pull a fence and he's trying to pull me down and he's pulling on my leg. And I'm like, and the blood is dripping down my leg. He's pulling on me. So I just reach and I just like, boom, and I kick. And so when I kick and I hit him. When I kicked, I kicked him and he like let go for a second and I tried to take another one and he grabbed again. So as I kicked, I pulled up one more thing and he jumped up again and grabbed, but this time he grabbed the bottom of my foot and he grabbed it, and I like, and I snatched, he had me, he was trying to pull me down and I snatched my foot out of my sneaker. That's what I snatched my foot out of my sneaker, woo, and then he fell down from him trying to pull on me, he fell and I grabbed up and I got to the top of the fence and then I just fell over the fence. I fell over, whoa, boom, and I hurt my arm, boom. I'm like, oh. And I was laying there and I looked and he was like, he's whipping my sneaker up, ripping it apart. I'm so sorry. I didn't mess in my video. I'm steady laughing. All right, sorry guys. I'm I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry I was muted. I said y'all know me. I'm Fulio. Y'all know how stupido I can get, right? And I said when I was making this video, I was trying to find a video clip of a Doberman ripping up something, right? Ripping, thank you, turn my mic down. I was trying to find a video of a Doberman ripping up something, right? And and I found this clip and my spirit said, put that clip because you know you're a fool, right? And because the video is so dark, right? This is a very traumatizing video, right? So it was like I found this clip of the little baby Doberman. That's his first ripping up his first shoe, and I was like, that's actually pretty funny. That's actually hilarious, and it'll lighten the story up a little bit. You know what I mean? So anyway, that is just my personality right there. I like doing stupid stuff like that. It's just my personality. So anyway, I want to yeah, thank you, brother Tony. So let me go back. I want to see little man rip up the shoe again, and he got a Croc. That's the funniest thing. He trying to rip up a Croc, right? That is the funniest thing in the world. But that's exactly what my spirit said, brother Tony. It was like Alayaha. It was like yeah, it'll lighten up the story a little bit. It'll lighten up the mood a little bit because this can get way too heavy. This dark stuff is no joke. All right. So let me take myself off the screen. Hold on. Let me get myself set up again. Sorry that I wasn't unmuted. I was laughing too when I thought I was muted. All right. How do I do it? Go over here. Bang. There you go. All right. And then make this small again. Okay. And there we go. Over, whoa, boom, and I hurt my arm, boom. I'm like, oh, and I was laying there, and I looked, and he was like, he's whipping my sneaker up, ripping it apart, Oh, I left a space for me to talk. Oh, that's what this was for? Sorry, guys. I could have just talked in this space and I stopped the clip for no reason. All right. So look at that part made me laugh. And I was laying there and I looked and he was like, he's whipping my sneaker up, whipping it apart.
A Maryland woman had a run-in with a pit bull that led to her Tesla getting damaged, biting and tearing her vehicle while she and her dog were in it. Olivia said the attack began because the pit bull was outside without a collar on. She was able to run to her car for safety, but did get bitten and scratched.
That's a dog. No, the dog attacking me. Oh my God, dog.
She also said she stayed instead of driving away because she didn't want the dog to bother any kids. The woman posted another video sharing text messages with the pit bull's owner where they offered to cover costs for doctor's visits, vet bills, and car repair.
Yeah, you see this? This is what I'm talking about. A dog can be very dangerous, trained the wrong way. Now, people in the comments was like, why didn't she drive away? And she said because school had let out. And she would rather the dog steady attack her car, which it bit her car, dented it, bit her tires, because she felt if she drove off, then the dog would run and would see kids walking from school. All right? So you see how I placed the clip, right? Thank the Most High to take some of the darkness away. Because if I would have went from my story straight to that's some real dark stuff. And so I put the clip of the little dog, and that one came out of nowhere. All right, so let's continue with the story. Let's continue. Thank you. And I was laying there, and I looked, and he was like, he's whipping my sneaker up, whipping it apart.
A Maryland woman had a run-in with a pit bull that led to her Tesla getting damaged, biting and tearing her vehicle while she and her dog were in it. Olivia said the attack began because the pit bull was outside without a collar on. She was able to run to her car for safety, but did get bitten and scratched.
That's a dog. No, the dog attacking me. Oh my God, dog.
She also said she stayed instead of driving away because she didn't want the dog to bother any kids. The woman posted another video sharing text messages with the pit bull's owner where they offered to cover costs for doctor's visits, vet bills, and car repair.
Jump, and I grabbed the fence. Boom! And when I grabbed the fence and I went to pull up, he jumped. And grabbed the back of my leg and my pants. And he started, and I'm like, I'm screaming. I scream, and I try to pull the fence, and he's trying to pull me down, and he's pulling on my leg, and I'm like, and the blood is dripping on my leg. He's pulling on me. So I just reach, and I just like, boom, and I kick. And so when I kick, and I hit him. When I kick, I kicked him, and he like let go for a second, and I tried to take another one, and he grabbed again. So as I kicked, I pulled up one more thing, and he jumped up again and grabbed, but this time he grabbed the bottom of my foot, and he grabbed it, and I like, and I snatched. He had me, he was trying to pull me down, and I snatched my foot out of my sneaker. That's what I snatched my foot out of my sneaker, woo, and then he fell down from him trying to pull on me. He fell, and I grabbed up, and I got to the top of the fence, and then I just fell over the fence. I fell over, whoa, boom, and I hurt my arm, boom. I'm like, oh, and I was laying there, and I looked, and he was like, he's whipping my sneaker up, whipping it apart, whipping. I'm like, and I was just laying there, and I'm looking at him. He's drooling and just ripping the sneaker up, and I'm like, so then I got up, because I'm like, it ain't over, you know? These guys are still, they still here. So I got up, and I'm like, and now I got no shoe. I got well, I got a sock on, I got one shoe, and my arm is like hurting, like it's almost broke. And I'm like 9 years old. And my reality is, after I made it past the dog, now I got one shoe. It feel like my shoulders dislocated or broken. And I realize it ain't over. The people are still hunting me. They're still after me. That was a horrible realization because running from the dog made me forget that I was running from people in the moment. It literally made me forget. And when I, that's, yeah, that's why I showed the pit bull after that. It was like, oh my goodness, it ain't over. These people are still after me. So I'm like, I run and I go out and I can hear them like, what was that? They was like, that was a dog. They was like, I think he was in this yard. I think he was in the yard with the dog. So then I'm like, oh. So I get to the street and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? So I was thinking, I'm like, okay, they knew I was going that way. So they probably gonna go that way and come back up. So I said, I gotta fake them out. I'm like, maybe I'll go this way. I said, all right. So I went to the right to head back towards Hempstead Turnpike, towards where IU live on the other side with the nice houses. So I went back this way and I got like a couple of houses before the corner and I hit another yard. I'm like, I gotta hit another yard. So what I did, when I got to that yard, I kicked the fence. I started kicking on the fence. I'm kicking and kicking and kicking the fence, and I hear nothing. I'm kicking the fence, I hear nothing. So I climb up the fence, and I climb down, and then I go to that yard, and then I get to it, I'm like, I need to keep going. So I climbed over that fence, and I could hear the car on the other street. When I climbed through that fence, woo, like, and then I could hear somebody else like, he's somewhere around there, find him. And then so when I climbed that fence, I went to the next street and I said, let me go. I went back down 2-3 more houses and I hit another fence and I climbed that. And I went into that one and I climbed that fence. First, I made sure I shook the fence and all that, no dog. I climbed that fence, and that fence, they had a garage. And I went and I hid, and they had a garage, and they had like a little skinny spot, which is another house, and like trees and stuff, like woods. And so I went and I hid in between the garage and the trees and woods. And I went and I hid, and I laid there. And I just stayed there shaking and crying. I was scared. And I could hear them, where is he? I could hear keep driving up. We can't find him. We're gonna find you. We're gonna find you. We're gonna find you. And they just kept going. Then I could hear somebody walking. Then another car pull up. They pull up and they go on the next street. And I could just hear them circling. And it's like, where is he? He around here somewhere. And then I could hear their voices in the car going further and further away. It was getting further and further away. And I would just lay there. And I knew not to move though. And I just stayed there. I stayed there till late at night. I laid by that tree, and between that house and that garage and the wood little dirt area, bugs and stuff crawling all over me, all type of stuff. I just stayed there. I stayed there till maybe 11 o'clock at night. And it was probably like 5:30 p.m. when this started. And I stayed there all night. And I got in trouble. And I think my grandmother probably beat my butt. But I explained to her, I don't know, she might not have beat me at that time. Because my grandmother, she was mean, but she understood. I don't think she beat me that time. Because she would console me when things really traumatic would happen. She wouldn't beat me. She would like make me a good meal. She never hugged me or anything, but I knew she loved me. But I knew she loved me. She would like make me a good meal and, not yell at me or nothing. I stayed till like 11 o'clock at night. And then I was so scared. And then I walked out and I had to jump the fence, and a little 8-year-old little boy, I had to walk almost a half an hour. Now listen, home, scared, and this story ain't over, scared of seeing another band of these crazy, because they would hunt black people at night. I guess they would get drunk or high and ride around trying to play Igga ball or find a black person to kill. They would ride around with guns too and would shoot you. So, and sometimes you wouldn't know them. They would see you from far back and they would be ready, and you would just hear boom and shooting guns. You would run and they would shoot people. So I had to make it home, and it was so scary because it was so late at night. And there's another thing, I'm gonna tell another story, where back in the days in New York, I can only speak for us, at least on Strong Island, at least in Hempstead, we had wild dogs all over the streets, packs of dogs. They would be in a dog pack. So you would be walking, I got some stories coming, oh my goodness. Everybody know it. My people from Hempstead, Washington, they know what I'm doing. We all been, you would be walking and all of a sudden let's say we all walking in a crew, all of a sudden you see turn a corner, 20 dogs, a pack of dogs. Facts. Whole facts. I was just thinking that because I'm watching the story with you guys, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm like, crap. I'm thinking, and I just want you to understand, I'm a little traumatized watching it. Like, I'm getting emotional and stuff because it's replaying what really happened. So when I was saying I was by the tree and stuff, I was holding back tears a little bit right now because I remember the young me and the feeling, the fear that I had. And then when I was after I jumped the fence and I started to walk home, the first thing I was thinking of right now was the wild dogs, bro. First thing I'm thinking, like, oh my goodness, bro. The wild dogs would come out at night. It would be packs of them. I was literally about to think that, like, and I still got a almost half an hour walk home from where I'm at to my projects, Parkside Projects. And I'm like, oh my goodness, wild dogs. And I didn't realize I put it in the clip. I didn't even remember, because I made this back for us for the Halloween video. So I didn't remember that I put these videos in the clip. But yeah. Oh my goodness. No joke. All right, let me get back to the story. Let me get back to the story and put it back just a little bit. There we go. A little bit more. There we go. And there's another thing, I'm gonna tell another story where back in the days in New York, I can only speak for us, at least on Strong Island, at least in Hempstead, we had wild dogs all over the streets, packs of dogs. They would be in a dog pack. So you would be walking, I got some stories coming, oh my goodness. Everybody know it. My people from Hempstead, Washington, they know what I'm doing. We all been, you would be walking and all of a sudden let's say we all walking in a crew, all of a sudden you see turn a corner, 20 dogs, a pack of dogs. They would turn the corner and they would just take off. Wild dogs was everywhere. Wild dogs. They didn't have a home. They weren't. Laoya said, what happened to them? I think the Chinese restaurant. Sorry, no. That was just a jokey joke. No racial, no racial bigotry. I'm a minister and I'm a comedian too. I used to do stand-up comedy, so that was a joke. But all right, let's continue, Laria. Let's continue. Like, what happened to the dogs? I know, right? I think your what you call that? Your wings and fries. The wings and fries we was ordering in the 90s. Because this is the 80s and the 70s I'm talking about right now. This is 70s into the 80s. And then there's the wings and stuff we was eating in the 90s. The wings and fries we was ordering. All right, anyway, let's continue. What they call at home when you put them in a home and what I forgot their name they call that. Oh no, they were wild packs of dogs. Let me go back a little. Wild dogs was everywhere. There we go. Wild dog. They didn't have a home. They weren't what they call at home when you put them in a home and what I forgot their name they call shelter. That. Oh no, they were wild packs of dogs. All the time. You would either jump on a car or a tree. The only thing you got, or a fence, you better hope they have a dog in that fence. A tree or a car. And if you get the wrong pack, they could jump, they'll learn to jump on a car. That was later, before they didn't know to jump on a car. But we get on the roof of a car and a tree. You really want a tree. Pack of wild dogs. So I'm worried about a pack of wild demons, wild adversaries, these wild white serpent seeds, not the regular white people, have different classes. These are demonic white people. You have demonic black people too. These are demonic white people, serpent seeds, and wild packs of wild dogs. So I'm taking all back streets at 11 o'clock at night, and I know my grandmother's worried, thinking I'm kidnapped or something. And I finally made it home. All right, now, this ain't over. That was one story of my traumatic childhood. Method Man was on Angie Martinez, and he said something about something. I'm from Hempstead. She said, "You from Long Island, Hempstead?" He said, "Yeah, Tigers." That's our football team, Hempstead Tigers, right? So Tiger, our football team is legendary. So he was like, "Tigers." He said, "Yeah, I'm from Hempstead." He said, Terrace Ave was the first place he had a gun. He was robbed. He had a gun stuck in his face, and his mom knew that he would be killed staying in Hempstead, so she moved him to his family out in Staten Island, and that's how he became Wu-Tang and met them. So I'm glad his mom did it, changed his whole life, because Hempstead is lethal. So nobody makes it out of Hempstead. I remember my last story, nobody makes it out, unless you move away. Even the famous Dr. J had to move away, moved to Roosevelt and made it. All right, now, jury service. So, Method Man was on Angie Martinez, and I got another story coming, just hold on, guys. Method Man was on Angie Martinez, and he told the story, and I'm listening, I'm in the car listening. This was Wu-Tang was huge. Method was the big star. And he said, yeah, he said, I'm from Hempstead. He said, Hempstead was crazy. He said, I remember when we was little, he said, we used to go and we used to help the Jets play practice at Hempstead at Hofstra University. Method Man said this. He said, we used to watch the Jets play at Hofstra University. He said, but Angie, he said, when we would leave the practice, we would have to walk back home, and Meth was from Parkside, from Circle Drive by Martin Luther King Drive. He said, we would get chased by bands of white boys trying to kill us. He said, I remember I got chased and I was running for my life and they was trying to kill me and I was hiding in people's backyards. And I remember I heard the story, I was like, F, you too? And I'm like, and I remember his generation right after me, we all would do it. But I never knew that he got chased too, like I did. And he told that story on Angie Martinez. He said, facts, that one blew me away when I heard it. I was in New York City living there. I was in my car and he was being interviewed. And what it is the New York Jets would have training camp for the summer. And their training camp was at Hofstra University. And so we would go there and they would like hire us to go be ball boys and go put down the cones and all that. And they would give us lunch and stuff like that. But yeah, he told the same story. I saw like, whoa, you too? And I know what he felt. Yeah. Said they was trying to kill me. They was in the car and I had to hide in people's backyards. And I remember this was way back then when Meth told that story on Angie Martinez. All right, now, that was one story. This next story, I'm a little older. I'm about 10 years old. maybe 11. We had this thing, we're poor little black kids in the hoods, in the projects. So we had this thing when we couldn't get the regular things that normal kids get. Like we couldn't get bicycles and stuff like that. So at that time, because our people were poor, at that time, we were bad, we were little kids, bad little kids in the hood. We would go and we would steal bikes. So we would get together, and what we would do is we would walk. I know that y'all don't think I'm crazy. We were daredevils. We would go into the neighboring towns, the white people towns, because they had all the money. And the white people, the white kids in their towns, they would just leave their bikes outside on the street because they had money, so they don't care. And if you had a bike in the projects, you had a Schwinn. There was no, what they call them other bikes. There was no, well, Huffy came out later, but there was none of them, what they call those bikes that people ride with the pegs on there was none of those. There was a Schwinn and a 10-speed, a 10-speed bike, but Schwinn was the ish. If you had a Schwinn, you had a Mercedes-Benz, a Schwinn bike, right? Now.
Whole facts. Whole facts.
So,
and the Schwinn is SCHWINN. And someone has Schwinn with what's the name, handlebars, or a sissy pole with a big long pole, and you could ride it. Schwinn's was a Mercedes-Benz back then.
So the little white kids, they had all type of Schwinns and 10 speeds and all type of the expensive, because they were rich, they weren't cursed. We were cursed, right? So the white kids, when you go to a white neighborhood, the bikes would just be laying in their front yard. Like they would just leave it and run in the house, and they'll be out there all night, right? They would go in the house and go to sleep. Right? Yeah, thank you, Paul P. No mongooses. That's what I was thinking of. Thank you, Paul P. No mongooses, none of that. It was Schwinns and 10 speeds. And y'all see it now. It looked like the bikes that the dudes ride in Cali. They hook them up now and stretch them long. But those type of bikes you would ride on. But anyway, and they had the gray and silver and the red and yellow Schwinn was the best ones. Right? I never had a Schwinn, but I had a stolen one. But so we would go into the neighborhoods. We would go to
the blue and silver one, and then the red and yellow. But all right, let me continue the story.
Baldwin, Long Island, and we would go to the other way was Rockville Center and Lynbrook, where they did the Everybody Loves Raymond story. And we would go to East Meadow, but we would not go to East Meadow too much. That's where they would chase. We wouldn't go to East Meadow too much because that's where most of the white boys come from to kill us, right? So, but we would go to Baldwin and Rockville Center and the other way, right? So at this particular time, we're going to get bikes because every now and then, one of our bikes would break down so bad that we need a new bike. But we can't get a new bike. Our parents don't got money. Ain't nobody gonna buy you no bike. So I think somebody needed a bike, right? One of us. So we all looked out for one another. We all took care of it. So somebody needed a bike. So what we would do is we would double up on the bike. So I get on the bike, right? Because Schwinns have a seat. It's a long seat. So it's not like a mongoose or something where you ride where it's one little seat, like a 10-speed bike, right? Or a mountain bike. A Schwinn bike, it got a seat. It's a long seat, and it got a sissy pole in the back. Sometimes you'll have a long sissy pole. That was when you had a cool bike. So it could be two of y'all sitting on the seat. So someone gets behind you and y'all riding on the bike. So you always ride somebody on the bike. It wasn't like they had to stand on pegs. So what we would
You'd be like, give me a ride.
do is we would get on the bike and you would put somebody else on the back so that when we go to try to get a bike to steal, the person jump off the bike and they go steal the bike, and now they got a bike and you ride. So we would double up. So at this time, we're going to get one bike. So we only had one person doubled up on somebody's bike. I don't know who it was. Somebody doubled up, right? So we go into Baldwin. We're going to get a bike. So we would drive into Baldwin, and you would take the street. I forgot the name of the street, but it's where the cemetery is. I know, right? The cemetery. And we would drive, and you go past, then it's a hill. and you go over the hill and you go into Baldwin. And Baldwin got a park up there. And Baldwin, back then, it was all whites. Now it's more blacks because the whites kept going further out towards Suffolk County, right? The white flight, blacks kept pushing, the whites kept moving further away. But at this time, Baldwin is white, rich, they got money, and poor whites, but more money than us. Nobody was poor as black people back then. So it's really like a middle class. So even though now that it's blacks with money and really nice houses, middle class, not ghetto like us from the projects. So we driving, right? We riding. So we go on the Baldwin. Now, first of all, it's already dangerous, guys. So you already know the story, right? So we know this. This is our reality. But this is the chance we took. This is our life. So we drive the Baldwin. We driving, we in deep in Baldwin, right? We in there. So we going up streets. So what we would do is we would drive through streets to try to find a house that got a bike in the yard, right? That somebody got a bike. Or we would go to Baldwin Park and try to see if someone's left their bike. One of the little white kids left their bike while they playing basketball in the park, and we'll sneak up and jump on the bike and take off. So this time we went to Baldwin Park, but there was no bike there for us. So we went and we was going down the street. So we're going down the street and we see a bike in the yard. So we stop, we like, that's a bike. So we all ride up and we go to look at the bike. We look and like, ooh, it's pretty because they got money, see? Yeah, we got put together bikes. We make bikes from parts. Like we take parts in exchange. So our bike look like a Erector sets. You know what I mean? We make it work though, right? We got put together bikes, right? They got shiny, brand new bikes. You know what I mean? So it's like a brand. We got struggle bikes. Our bikes look crazy. Yo, I swear, you think I'm lying? See, y'all don't, it's so funny. Yo, you'll have a bike and the dude will have one white tire in the front and another one, a black tire in the back. You have different colored, you have a frame that got a different color front sprocket. I mean, your sprocket is different color, your front forks for your tire. Yo, our bikes look crazy. They look like, and then sometimes we try to paint it if we can find some spray paint. So we'll try to spray paint the bike and make it all one color. And we kids, so the spray paint drips everywhere and just, oh my goodness, our bikes was looking real crazy. Yeah, brother Aliyah, he said the makeshift bikes. But in the white neighborhoods, they had brand new, like Rolls Royces. We had buckets and hoopties, and the difference is, patchwork bikes. The difference is, and it will be more patchwork as it go on. Know why? Because because it would break, and so we would find spare parts and put it together, right? And the whites, because they had so much money, they didn't care about the bike, so they would just leave it. So we would go to the park in Baldwin, because usually we could just find a bike left, meaning the little kids that go play in the playground or go on the basketball court and leave the bike way over here, just laid on the ground, just there. And they would play and then come back later and the bike would be there, but not in the hood. In the hood, you don't leave nothing. You understand? So it used to be simple. We'd drive up there and there'd be a bike laying right on the ground like a gift to you. Like, thank you very much. And we usually just get on the bike and drive off and just go on home, go back, So, and I know this was sin. It wasn't something that's righteous, but this is just the stories of the 70s and the 80s of the life we lived, all right, for this generation. All right, let's continue. Mercedes Benz, right? He's like, ooh, I'm like, I want that. Everybody want that. I'm like, but the one who's going to get it is the one who came to get it, right? So it's like, crap. So we all ride up and we go to look at the bike. We look and like, ooh, it's pretty because they got money, see? Yeah, we got put together bikes. We we make bikes from parts. Like we take parts in exchange. So our bike look like erector sets. You know what I mean? We make it work though, right? We are put together bikes, right? They got shiny, brand new bikes. You know what I mean? So it's like a brand new Mercedes Benz, right? It's like, ooh, I'm like, I want that. Everybody want that. I'm like, oh, but the one who gonna get it is the one who came to get it, right? So it's like, crap, I want that bike. I'm like, so we go, we look, we like, all right. So we first thing we have to do, we have to scout it out, right? So we have to go past and we have to look to make sure ain't nobody in the yard or nobody's looking or nothing, because just to be in their neighborhood, Black kids, we're running an insane risk because they will kill us, right? If we see crazy white men or a gang of white boys, it's over. It's over, right? So we drive past and we look and the whole block seems quiet and the bike is in the yard. And it's like, so the person's front door is open, but they got a screen door, but it's open, but we don't see nobody. So we go up a little, and when we went up a little to turn around. We went up a little, I remember looking and I seen, so people usually have their front door open with their screen open because it's summertime, with their screen open. And I remember when we went to turn around, I looked in somebody's house and I seen a white man look at me. He looked, because he was like sitting on his couch, and his couch, I guess he could see outside. And he looked at me. And I looked at him and I'm like, but I didn't say anything. So we turned and we started going back towards the bike. And I'm like, that white man saw me. And I'm like, but I still didn't say anything. Stupid. So we turn and we go back and they're like, all right, we about to get it. We about to get it. So we go, and when we go, he gets off the bike, he goes into the yard, and he goes and he grabs the bike. So we being quiet. So he grabs the bike, and when he goes to pick it up, you hear, boom! You hear a screen door open and slam. And I look, and it's a little white boy. He's probably like 10, 11 years old. He's like, that's my bike! And he starts screaming, he's stealing my bike! Sorry, that's what he said. These is stealing my bike! And I'm like, so he started to run, and my man grabs the bike. I forgot who it was, Joe or somebody. He grabs the bike and picks it up. And when he picked it up, he tried to get on it, and he tried to take off, and the white boy grabbed him and grabbed the bike. So he's fighting and pulling, and he's trying to pull him. He's dragging the white boy. He drags him out into the street, and we on the bike. We're like, come on, but we don't want to leave him. And so all of a sudden, you see people start coming out their house. And I'm like, we like, yo, come on, grab him, pull it. And we drag him, and the white boy won't let go. And he pulling, and I'm like, we're like, yo, let the bike go. And all of a sudden, all of the man comes out the house, right? So the man comes out the house, and so my man tries to drop the bike and try to run to us. And so the white boy grabbed him, and they started like fighting. So I'm like, so the man comes out of the house and like, what y'all doing now? And then I look, and I see people coming up the street. So I'm like, and I seen a guy that I seen in the house come out his house. And so I get off my bike and I run to my friend and I try to help him so I can get him to let him go. We trying to get the white boy, let him go. He's like, no. And he fighting. I'm like, I'm trying to pull him. So as I'm trying to pull him, my man gets loose. And when my man gets loose, he runs. He runs. So now the white boy grabbed me. So I'm like fighting, touching the white. And I look at my man, he runs and he gets on my bike. So he runs and he gets on my bike. So as me and the white boy tussling, the bike is right there. So we tussling and everything, we tussling. So then I look at my man, I'm like, dude, I got off to help you. And he gets on my bike. So everybody's waiting. They're like, come on, JJ, right? That's my little young name. So I'm like, they're like, come on, JJ. So I'm like, for those who know the real name, I ain't trying to give people my name. Those from my childhood, they know my real little nickname. Right? So like, come on, JJ. So I'm like, yo, help, get him off me. So then the father came up. So when the father got there, he grabbed us both. He's like, break it up, stop. So he pulled us apart. So he's holding him and me. So I'm like, get off me. He's like, what you doing? You're trying to steal a bike? You're going to jail. I'll keep you here till the police come. So I'm like, I wasn't trying to steal a bike. I was trying to help him get him off my friend. He said, yes, you was. You're trying to steal the bike. So I'm like, get off me. So he let his son go, and then he holding me. And I'm like, get off me. So I snatched out of his hand. I'm like, get off me. He's like, you trying to steal the bike? He said, I'm going to call the cops on you. Your mother know that you out here trying to steal a bike? So I'm like, no, I wasn't trying to steal a bike. I wasn't stealing a bike. And then I look and I see a mob of the white boys, of the whites coming up the street. And they're like 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. And so the guy, the father, is facing me, but he don't see what's behind him, but I can, because I'm facing them. So I look, and I'm like, and they're coming. And then I can see them, they got bats and sticks. And I'm like, and he's like, why would you steal a bike? He said, all you have to do, I guess he was a good white man, right? He's like, all you have to do is just get a job. Why don't you just go get a newspaper route? He said, you deliver newspapers, you can buy a bike. He said, there's no future in stealing. I'm so sorry, but he was a good white man. But his reality and my reality were different. So he didn't understand being black in the 70s, right? And being young. There was no route. They wouldn't give me, like, there wasn't the things that he's saying like he could have did when he was little and stuff, right? But he meant good, right? But I'm looking at him. It's so funny because I'm looking at him and I'm like, he's giving me this lecture on how to do good and do the right thing. And I'm looking past him and I see a mob of white people coming to hang me, bro. And I'm sitting there like, bro, you give me a lecture and they coming to kill me, bro. You don't understand. It was crazy, bro. It was so crazy. All right, let me go back just a little bit. And so the guy, the father, is facing me, but he don't see what's behind him, but I can, because I'm facing them. So I'm looking, I look, and I'm like, and they're coming. And then I can see them, they got bats and sticks. And I'm like, and he's like, why would you steal a bike? He said, all you have to do, I guess he was a good white man, right? He's like, all you have to do is just get a job. Why don't you just go get a newspaper route? He said, you deliver newspapers, you can buy a bike. He said, there's no future in stealing. He said, if you steal, then you're gonna get a record. He said, which was all the truth. Let me say that, all the truth, but we faced a little different reality, but he didn't know that. I was gonna call the cops, but he realized I was listening to him. Because I didn't tell y'all, but my ministry, I told the ministry I was a sponge. I would always listen to elders. That's why I'm so wise. I learned so much. So as he was speaking, I was listening. And he seen me listening. And that's why he said, I was gonna call the cops on you. He said, but if I do that, then what will your future be? You're gonna start your future off with a criminal record. He said, have you ever had a job? I said, no. I said, I would like to get a job. He said, you could get a job. He said, I own a company. I own a construction company. If you was old enough, I would hire you. He said, they have a thing. He said, look up newspaper routes. When I was a little boy, I sold lemonade. I sold newspapers. I sold Real talk. Now, the funny thing, guys, he's telling me the story, and I keep looking over his shoulder as he's telling me the story, right? And I'm like, and I'm stuck because I'm used to listening to elders and absorbing the wisdom they're saying. So I'm into his story. I'm listening, but I'm looking over his shoulder like, oh, Candy. He said, you can work and you can buy your own bike. And I'm looking at him. He said, you understand? I said, yes. He said, you don't have to steal. He said, work and then it's yours. And you never have to worry about it. He said, you hear me? I said, yes. And I look and they coming. And the next time I looked, he turned around and he looked. And he looked back and I said, I'm sorry, mister. And I took off. I turned around and I took off. And when I ran, all my boys, they was like, come on, JJ, come on, JJ. And I ran, and when I took off to run, I hear them say, get that. And the crowd, they started running. And the man looked at me. I took off, ran. He said, grab the bike, go. And I ran and I jumped on the bike, his son's bike. And I took off, and when I got on the bike, my boys had already took off. They was like, come on, JJ. And that man said, go. And I ran and I jumped on the bike and I took off. But when you first get on the bike and you start pedaling, it's slow. You got to gain your speed. So when I took off, by the time I got on the bike and I'm trying to pedal, remember I'm little, I'm only 10. The big, it's like a big 18, 19, he running one, he had a stick. He was close. And he was like, so when I got it, by the time I got to the bike, got on, he was like, get that, he had a stick. And he tried to swing it. And I'm like, so I took off and I felt the wind of the swing and I'm look back, I'm like, he was right there. So as I'm trying to pedal, I'm trying to go, he's getting closer and he's swinging the stick. He's like, we'll get you. And I'm like, so I'm all my might, I'm hitting that, I'm pushing that bike. And so now I'm pushing the bike and he's running. And now the whole crowd is catching me. And they like, grab him, hit the tire. So I'm like, and my crowd, my boys is way up there like, go, JJ, go. So I'm running, I'm going, and now I got my speed. So I'm like, and I took off, and so I took off, and he threw the stick, boom, and it hit the back tire. And the stick, when it hit the back tire, the bike went, and it like fishtail, and it started to, and I'm like, for dear life, I'm like, please don't fall. Like, now I know this is the Most High. The Most High been protecting me all my life. Now I know this is him. This is Yah, guys. That's his name, by the way. His name is Yah. It's in the scripture. It's in Psalms. It says Yah, but there's no J in Hebrew. Remember, these were Hebrews. His name is Yah. All right, now, I didn't know this though, but this was the Most High. It hit the back, and it started fishtailing. And I'm like, please don't fall. That's the only thing I was thinking, like, don't fall. And as I'm fishtailing, I'm going slower and they're catching up. Now, when it hits the back of the bike, you know how it's because I'm going really fast and it's wobbling and shaking. And I'm just like, it's like, you know how you leave kind of like an out of body experience, a surreal moment where I'm like, if I fall, that's it. And just so y'all know, when he was talking, the good white man, as he was talking, it sounded like it was taking a long time. but I'm just telling the story. So when he was talking, it was all a matter of seconds when he's making these statements, and they're walking up the street. All the people, the crowd is getting bigger and bigger as all the people are coming up the houses, up the street. They're walking up, and they conversing with one another. That's what's giving it time. So they more and more is coming, and they talking, and they continue walk up. And as they come up closer, more people come out the house, and it's getting bigger and bigger. More kids come up because of the youngsters, 18-year-olds and stuff. And I'm looking as he's talking. I keep looking over his shoulder, right? And then the last time I looked over his shoulder, he looked back like, "What are you looking at?" He like, "Oh my!" he see his mob coming, and he already know they gonna kill this little black boy. Yeah, and he said, "Grab the bike." When I took off running, he actually let me grab the bike. And he's like nipping at the back of my shirt and then I regained the balance, and I hit it, took off, and I started leaving him. And he was like, "We're gonna get you, we're gonna get you." And he was like, and I took off, and I was like, "F you!" We little bad kids. I said, "F you!" I'm sorry that I can't say the F word. It would be more. I said, "F you," right? So I took off, and I'm like, whew, and they go, and they're like, "Go, JJ, go!" And I took off, I'm like, "Y'all go." So we going. So they start to slow up, because we boys, we keep wondering. So they start to slow up, so I could catch up. So I caught up. So all of a sudden we going, right? So we flying. They was like, "Yo, that was close." So we flying. Now we got to drive from Baldwin, right? So we had to go from Baldwin over the bridge. Then we got to go down that long street where the cemetery is. Then we got to cut down this. We got a long way to go. So we take off. We going. All of a sudden, so when I leave him, and I take off, he's like, "We're gonna catch you niggas, we're gonna catch you niggas." And my boy slowed up. We heard him say, "Go get the cars." And I'm like, shit. We look back, and they all started running back towards their houses. So we took off, we riding, we like, they about to come back. They about to get in their cars. So we're riding as fast and as hard as we can. So we riding. We want to get to the bridge. We need to at least get out of Baldwin. Like, we got to get out of Baldwin. But we're screwed, dude, because it's so far that we got to go. And there's really no yards to cut in for a while because the cemetery, so with this street, the cemetery, Greenfield Cemetery in Hempstead is long on this side. And then this side is a whole bunch of empty stuff. And then there's a big school. I forgot the name of that school that the Uniondale guys go to. I forgot, Lawrence Road. Oh, I said it in the thing. Lawrence Road School and all that, right? It's a field, a football field, so there's nowhere to run and hide, right? So we going, right? So we get almost near the bridge. So as we go on, we keep looking back, and all of a sudden we get to the bridge. We feel a little better because at least when we get over the bridge, we in Hempstead. We get to the bridge, and as we go up, we keep looking back, and you hear, oh, you can just hear the engines roaring, like, oh, they coming. So we tired now too, guys. So we just trying to hit it. So as we hit it, now we got to go up the bridge, up a hill. So our bikes are slowing down because we're tired and we're going uphill. So as we're going uphill and slowing down, it's like 7 carloads of white boys. It's like them old racist movies when they show the South and they show like, yeah, the cowboys. All you hear is like them screaming and hands out the car and sticks out the car. They like, get him, catch him. I'm like, oh my goodness, we are dead, dude. We are dead. Yeah. We are dead. Guys, they would kill you, literally. They would kill us, literally. Yeah. It's very, 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 very real. And these laws, they didn't have all the laws that they have now. They would kill you and get away with it. That's this back in the 70s, guys. They would kill you and get away with it. There was no prosecution and stuff like that. Literally, they would pay for lawyers and get probation or something for killing one of us, killing little black kids. So we're going. We're going up the hill. They're barreling down on us. By the time we get to the top of the hill, I look back and I can see their faces. That's how close they are. And I can see like the joy on their face that they're about to catch us. We take off. Now we get to the top of the hill. We're like, when we get to the bottom of the hill, we're gonna like split off. I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm thinking this is what I was thinking. When we get there, I'm going to drop my bike and jump over the fence and jump and go into the cemetery. That's what I'm thinking. Because the cemetery is huge. And they can't get their car, so they're gonna have to run. So that's what I was thinking. I don't know what they were thinking, but I was like, when we get across this thing, I'm dropping my bike, I'm jumping the cemetery fence, and I'm running, because if I can get this huge, it's a mile long that you're gonna get to the other side. That's Greenwich Street that leads you to Union there in Roosevelt. So I'm like, that's what I'm thinking. I'm dropping this bike, because they gonna catch us in this car. At least on the foot, I got a better chance in the cemetery. So we get to the top of the hill. That's a fact. And I could probably hide in the tombstones and the mausoleums. Like, that was a good choice. Because if I stayed on the bike on the street, I was caught, and there was no chance at all. And the cemetery had a spiked fence, but I was gonna have to try to figure out how to get over it, no matter it's life or death. But that was actually good thinking. Look back, I could see their eyes, and they're like, just the joy in their eyes, like, we got them. We got them. They do got us. A bike can't outrun a car. Impossible. So now we at the top of the hill, we go down. Downhill, you get speed, right? So we hit it. Downhill. Ooh, everybody. So we flying now. Shoom, we going downhill. And the car coming over the hill. They come over the hill almost like a Western movie, flying in the air. Like, they come over the hill doing 9,000 miles an hour. So we flying down the hill, and here go their cars. Woo, one by one, shoom, shoom, shoom. Niggas, all you hear is screaming. So we flying. We get from the bottom of the hill, and we going. We're taking off. So the first couple of cars is, because it's a wide lane, they driving on both sides. So the first couple of cars starts to barrel down on our bikes. The street is wide, so about 3 cars could fit on the street. It's wide. So we flying, and I'm looking back, and I'm like, I'm just trying to make it, because there's a little way, by the time you get to the bottom of the hill, there's a little way that you got to go before the fence, the fence, the yard. It's like cement and then a steel spikes that leads over. You got to jump over it to get into the cemetery. So I'm trying to go fast as I can so I can get to that part so I can jump over into the cemetery. So I'm hitting it as fast as I can. But the cars are barreling down. The first 2, they're barreling down on our back tires. Like, they coming fast in a car against a bike. And they're gonna hit our bike. That's what they want to do. They want to knock us off. They're gonna hit the bike with the car to run us over or knock us off, right? So we pedaling for life, dear life. So as we pedaling, the car is barreling down like this. We're pedaling, when you get to the part that you get to the wall where you could jump over the cemetery, there's another part where when to the left, there's a firefighters. There's a place where the Hempstead Fire Department, they train for fire to make it into the fire academy. Like you go to police academy, so they have and then they have drag racing there too. But they have this big thing where they do firefighter competition stuff there. So it's like a big field and a big thing, and it's a big strip where they drag race and they do this firefighter drag race and fire trucks and all this competition, this big thing. So when you go past, because it's like over the bridge, when you go over the bridge to Baldwin, it's trees on both sides. But then when you go over, it's still trees and stuff. And then once you get past the trees, that firefighter thing is to the left, and to the right is the cemetery. So soon as now I'm trying to get to the cemetery so I can jump over the thing. So soon as we get past the bushes and the cars barreling down on us, soon as we get to the point where you get in the open and past the bushes, I look and someone says, "The police!" And I look, and there was 2 cops parked. You know how cops park their car where one is this way, one is that way, and they be talking to each other from the driver's side, from both driver's side? On that little strip that they drag race, it usually be cops there because people drag race coming from Baldwin too. Drag race down that strip going to Lawrence Road. So cops usually be there. So when we hit right before I can get to the cemetery, one of my boys that was further up, because they was in head, they was like, "The police, the cops, and the police are there." And when I got up, I looked, I was like, and they'd be like, "Help!" They start screaming, "Help!" And so we're ahead of the car, so the car's like, woo, they coming, and we get ahead, and then they're like, "Help!" So they beeline and they turn their bikes to go to where the cops are. And so when they turn, I look and I'm like, "The cops!" So I turn up, I forget jumping in the cemetery. We turn and we all turn our bikes. So by the time the cars come, they go, woo, they come down. And when they come down, by the time they get past the bushes, they see the police, and they see we going to the police, and some of them scared. They scared, and we go to the, we rush in our bikes, and we still ride. We had a little way to ride, but the cops are right there, and one is facing us, so they know the cops can see us. So we ride, because we still got a little way to go to turn, because it's a fence to turn to that street to go where the cops are. So we ride, and when we ride, some of them scared, and they start like crashing into one another, and then the other one that went around the pile up, because a bunch of them, so they start to pile up their cars, and they crashed into one another, and then the other ones, to avoid the crash, went around the crash, and so they went around, and they were going fast, so they flew past, woo, they like, shoo, you can see cars flying past, shoo, this one, car fly past on this side, shoo, and then you hear others, you just hear pile-ups, crashing, and they flying, and the other ones who missed the pile-ups are flying past. And so when the first one flew past, you can hear vroom, and then another room, you hear the cops and then they see us, and we yelling, "Help, the police!" So the cop and they threw their light on, and the car flew up, and then by the time my boys ran to the cop, he was like, "Help, they're trying to kill us, they're trying to kill us." And so the other police, so the one cop that was facing them, he took off, boom, and chased the cars that were flying, because they were doing like 90. He took off, boom, and then the other cop, he stayed with us. He said, "Well," he said, "they're trying to kill us, don't leave." So by the time I got to the car, so I got to the car, I like to jump in that cop car window. I swear. You know the funny thing, guys? You know how much we don't like police? Oh, the devil a lie. I like to went in that cop car. He was like, stop, I'm not gonna leave y'all. Cause they were like, don't leave. Yo, that's a whole fact. So this is so funny. By the time I got there, because I was so traumatized, right? By the time I got to the cop car, I like to dive off the cop car. I like to dive off my bike and dive through the cop car window. The cop was like, yo, I swear I almost died. You know how I almost dived in his lap and I would have held him too. I would have grabbed him like, don't leave me. do not leave me. Facts. I'll never forget that. I've never been so happy. That's why I say shout out to the good cops. You know what I mean? We definitely need, the Most High has law and order, and he has laws and things for a reason. It's for our protection. Now, of course, we can abuse. You have bad cops that abuse, but shout out to the good cops, because when you need them, you'll be very, very, very happy to see them. You understand? There's good cops, good firemen, good people, public servants. There are bad ones too, right? But they're good ones, right? Your house burned down and your baby inside, and a cop come in and risk his life and go in to get your baby. If he come out with your baby all covered in black smoke, you'll be happy as all outdoors to see that cop. Trust me. So remember, look for the spirit of the people. You can't generalize all people. Shout out to the good cops. I swear, I like to dive through that window. I was the one that was the one more traumatized than them all, because it was me. I was the one that they almost caught. Like, I was the one. So by the time I got to that cop car, I like to dive through. He like, oh, no, stop. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going nowhere. I was like, and I grabbed on the side of his window thing, and I'm all, well, no, I'm not that little. I'm a little bigger, because at this point, I think I'm around 12 years old. No. By the time I was 12, I was a hustler. I'm sorry. My life was crazy. No, I forget. That's why I always know, because by the time I was 12, there was no stealing bikes. I was on the block selling drugs. You heard? Hardcore. So, no, I had to be around 10. Still around 10. That's how I get that's how I keep my time frame of my stories, my lifetime stories. It centers around, I know at 12 when I started hustling, and that was it. Everything changed after that. I'm not promoting that. I did my time for all the crimes I committed, but this is my testimony of my life. But yeah, so I had to be around 10. But yeah, I remember wanting to just grab onto that officer. Just please do not leave me. Do not leave me. Pulling on his car, but he's like, I'm not gonna leave. I'm gonna stay with y'all. By the time I got to that cop car, I jumped off my bike and I like to dive through the window. I'm like, let me in. Like, no. He's like, no, I'm not going nowhere. I'm like, let me in. And he opened the door, he got out. He's like, y'all calm down. I'm not gonna leave y'all. I was like, oh my goodness, dude, these are white cops. He was like, I'm not gonna leave y'all. Calm down. So by the time I got there and everything, I tried to jump in the car. He grabbed me. He said, calm down. My heart beating out my chest, because I was one of the last ones. They was going to hit me first, because I was the slowest. I was the last one to pull off. And even when they let me catch up, they still was ahead of me. They just let me catch up to them some, right? And so I was scared the most, because they was going to hit me first. I was going to be the first one, and I was the one they was really after. Well, it was after, so it didn't matter. But he grabbed me, the white cop. He grabbed me and he hugged me, and he could feel my heart was like beating out of my chest. He's like, calm down. I'm not going to leave you. Calm down. I'm sweating. I'm like, and then I started to calm. I said, you sure? He's like, I'm not going to leave. And then he got in the thing. He said, we got a such. We need backup. And he called the other cops. And that other one, the one cop took off after them who took off. And then the other cars, you could hear them turning around and going back over the bridge into Baldwin. And they smiled, smash, bang, crash them up, pile up. They banged up all their cars. And so then the cop, he stayed with us. The other cops came, you know what I mean? We told them what happened. And then all the cops, they took our bikes and they put our bikes in their trunks. They put our bikes in the trunks of their car and they put each of us in the cop cars. They put each of us in the car. They put a bunch of us in the back seat, about 4 or 5 cop cars, and they put all our bikes in the trunks and they rode us to the projects, Parkside Projects in Hempstead. And and I remember my grandmother was mad at that. I got a beating because she said, just make sure that you don't come back in handcuffs or in the coroner's van for childbirth. It's my side worthless. That's one of my rhymes. Just make sure you don't come back in handcuffs or in the coroner's van. That's one thing she always told me. Just make sure you don't come back in a police car home or in the coroner's van. That was childbirth is my side worthless, coke powder cup of surface. The CIA and the one that see us in hearses. I just said that rhyme on another one. I never forget that because that's all of my life. I remember. That's why I put that in my rhyme. That rhyme I wrote back in the 80s. I said, when I was 13, my grandma named me a man. She said, just don't come back in handcuffs or in the coroner van. She said, just don't come back in handcuffs or in the coroner's van. And after that, I was able to go and do anything I want as a child. That was her only instructions. I know that's horrible, but it was my reality. Her instructions was just do not come back in handcuffs or in the coroner's van. And after I had freedom to do anything, because she said, you don't got a mom or a dad, and you need to make your own manhood in the hood. You need to experience it because I can't be a dad to you and I'm too old, and you need to find out the reality of the world. I know it's horrible, but it was my reality. And she did the best she could, and that was her instructions. Only stipulation for me. Everything else, I was free to do anything, which is unlawful. I didn't have so she beat the mess out of me because she did not want me coming home in a police car. And we all came home, we all got beatings. Well, at least I did. Yeah. My goodness. That, guys, that was our reality. Back, yes, y'all, praise y'all for good cops. If it wasn't for good cops, we'd be all screwed. All cops are not bad. Most are, but not all. I started off the story letting y'all know about the history of New York. And the Dutch West Indies Trading Company was the #1 slave traders, getting the children of Israel, of Yasharel, that's in the scriptures, from the west coast of Africa, from the Luango coast, right? If you look at the ancient map, it's the kingdom of Judah and all of that, where they got us from. The Ashanti king, all those kingdoms is on the ancient map. I show it on my Bible, on my ministry. They came, the Dutch West Indies, they came, and they are the ones who established New York. All right? Brooklyn was Long Island, Brooklyn and Queens, they're still on. An island is a body of land separated by water. You see the map. You don't leave the island to go to, duh. Let's use our common sense, guys. But it was named it back then. And I started off to telling you that's why when hip hop was created and we had gangs back then, we formed gangs to fight the gangs of the white people had gangs too that would come and try to attack us. So we formed gangs and crews to protect one another. It wasn't like, nah, it was a different world. And every place was surrounded by these evil serpent seed white people, the evil ones that wanted to kill the children that were cursed from the scriptures, the Most High's children, the people of the book. So, yeah, Zayana, that was a very nice white guy. The one who told me to get a job, he said, I will even hire you if you was old enough. And he said, I'm not gonna call the cops on you. He said, how are you going to start your life off with a criminal record? He was going to help me. He was going to help. He told me to take the bike. I actually got the bike. I kept it too. And then I got into a fight. So that's little kids. We get home the next day. I get my butt beat, all that from my grandmother. Practically lost my life. And do you know this fool wanted to say it's his bike? And he was bigger than me. Oh yeah, I fought somebody. I always would fight. We had a drag down. He beat me a little bit, but he didn't get the bike. He didn't get the bike. I kept it. I earned this. That's mine now. I got this bike in blood. You got to be kidding me. This is my bike. You want to get, that's the fool that got up and got on my bike and left me. I got off my bike to help him, to get the little white boy of him. He going, get up, get free, and get on my bike and ride off. It didn't help me. And then want to come back and say the next day, I got a shiny, I got a Mercedes Benz in the hood, guys. What's up, Al Pizzle? What's up? Yo, I forgot about that. The next day, now, I had nightmares. I still have some nightmares sometimes. I still have those nightmares of dogs chasing me, the white boys chasing me and stuff. So I made it through that night, right? Nightmares and all that type stuff. But when I woke up, you wake up, you wipe your eyes, you wipe the cold out your eyes and stuff. And I went in there and I see this thing in my liver. I'm like, what is that? I forgot. I done had a traumatized night. I done forgot. I got a brand new Mercedes Benz. I got a Rolls Royce in the living room. It's shiny. It's brand new. It looked like, I said, what in the... I'm like, Chris, I don't know. Well, we didn't get that stuff. I'm like, I wouldn't have got that for Christmas. I'm like, oh my goodness, my reality hit me. Yeah, a lot of y'all said the owner gave it to me. He wasn't getting that bike back. I'd like to die 10 times. You the devil's a lie. You gonna have to beat me. You gonna have to beat me till I'm dead. You got to pry this bike out of my dead hands as a little boy. You ain't getting this bike back. I don't care. And he ain't get it back either. I'm like, you done lost your mind. Dog, I got a Mercedes Benz for a bike. And this fool wanna get jealous. That's my bike. Give me my bike. Man, you tripping. You ain't getting this bike. I know you bigger than me, but we about to fight. And we fought. He won. He beat me up a little bit, but he didn't get the bike. He didn't want to fight no more either. That's why he didn't get the bike. Because he's going to have to fight again. I was going to fight you every day. You ain't getting this bike. You ain't getting this bike. And he let it go. Yep, he beat me up a little bit. I was bruised, but he got in so much of a fight because he's bigger than me, a lot bigger than me. He didn't get the bike. And my boy was like, that's fly, shiny. I had that bike for a long time. And when I told my grandmother the story, she was like, this was the black people back then. She was like, we taking that bike back. I said, yo, this ghetto hood stuff. I had that bike so long till it started to be too. It was an old hoopty. Boy, see, that's the thing. We used to have our sneakers so long till the rubber come off the soles. Yo, I'm telling you, life in the 60s and the 70s and stuff was a different life, guys. From the 80s and the 90s. You see, in the 80s and stuff, we start coming up, we cracking stuff, but in the 70s, we all look like, we look crazy. Go look at some pictures of little kids in the 70s. Our socks was all the way up to our knees. Our sneakers were so dirty, like holes in the sneakers. Like you'll have, they call it sneakers talking. There's a thing that is called your sneakers are talking because the rubber comes off the front. Hold on, let me come see y'all. They call it sneakers talking because the rubber off the front of your shoe would separate and your feet, you can see that when you walk and go, the front go up every step you take and you see the person's socks. And you would go to, if you were really poor, they would go back to school, you would go to school, his sneakers talking. All of us, the rubber off the back, and then you would wear your sneakers so long that on the bottom, it get white spots. right? White spots because the rubber would from walking all the time, and then holes. You would have holes in the bottom, so rocks. You would step on a rock, and it'll hurt your foot. Glass and stuff. Oh yeah, yeah, it was no joke. Yeah, Lava, yeah, I went to lie and praise. I'm thankful that my grandmother, she would work so hard, and she would make sure that I didn't have, I would have a fresh pair of sneakers. So I was blessed. I was one of the blessed little kids. I didn't have a mom and dad, but my grandma, I didn't have love. I mean, she did love me, but she never showed me or said it. But she provided the things, like she would make sure I had, going back to school, I got a new pair of sneakers. But she would make you take it off when you come home from school. So I got the old ones that I got to wear outside to play in. They call your play clothes or your play sneakers. We come home, you take those sneakers off, take those clothes off, take all that and put your bummies. So we all outside looking like little shorts, long tube socks all the way up to our knees, and the craziest looking, dirtiest Converse and Pro Kids you ever seen in your life. Or if you don't have no Skippies, if you got Pro Kids. But yeah, we would drive like who somebody said, ride it till the tires fall off of that bike. I had that Mercedes Benz till it was a hoopty. It was a Toyota. It was a not Toyota. It was I don't know what kind of raggedy cars. It was by the time I finished with that bike, it was, boy, we get a wear and tear. We get the life out of that bike. All right. Let me hold on. Let me come back. We're gonna close out in a second. All right, how do I do it? Go take that smaller. Here we go. Grandma, they tried to kill me for the bike. You taking it back. The bike is stolen. We don't take stolen property. That was our ancestors. He didn't get the bike. And my boy was like, that's fly, shiny. I had that bike for a long time. And when I told my grandmother the story, she was like, this was the black people back then. She was like, we taking that bike back. I said, but grandma, they tried to kill me for the bike. You taking it back. The bike is stolen. We don't take stolen property. That was our ancestors. Yeah. They were back in the 70s and 60s. Our parents, they had morals. They were law abiding. They didn't play no games. She's like, and you know what she did? She got, yeah, Dasa Debo. She got, he said, you give me that bike. She got in her car and we went to Baldwin trying to find who belonged. I said, I don't remember the street, which I didn't. And we riding around Baldwin. Now listen, my grandmother, she put me in the car. She said, we going to take that bike back. We going to find those white people and you going to give those white people that bike back. We don't steal. Fact. They didn't play that. We do not steal. I don't care what. If we don't got, we do without. We do not steal. They didn't play that crap. Right? And she said, we going to give this bike back. I'm like, but grandma, he gave it to me. I don't care. Not shut your mouth before I knock your mouth back to 1955. Right? I'm going to knock your mouth in the back of your throat if you don't shut your mouth right now. Right? And I'm like, but he gave it to me. She want me to get a Mercedes back. And I'm like, no, grandma. Right? I put the bike in the trunk and trying to tell me, take me to where this white man house is. We giving them back to. She got in her car and we went to Baldwin trying to find who belonged. I said, I don't remember the street, which I didn't. And we riding around Baldwin. Now listen, my grandmother, she put me in the car, put the bike in the trunk and trying to tell me, take me to where this white man house is. We giving them back this bike. I'm like, but it's my bike. No, it ain't. It's stolen. I'm like, but the man told me to take it, which he did. No, he didn't. You lie again, I'm gonna beat you again. So she didn't believe me, but he did tell me to take it. I'm like, he did. You little kid, but he did, grandma, he did. No, he didn't. You say it again, I'm gonna beat your ass. She used to curse me, I'm gonna beat you again when we get home. So I just had to shut up. I knew she wouldn't have believed me. Like, she think I'm lying. So we ride around, right? So we trying to find the house, the street with it, and I don't know it. So we going, and every time, this is the funny part, every time we turn down a block and we see people out in the yard, you hear, get out of our neighborhood. It's so funny. So my grandmother is riding. So we riding and she got her windows down and everything. And every time this car, she ain't got no tents or nothing. Every time this car turned down the street in this white neighborhood, all you hear is, get out of our neighborhood, niggers. and you should see my grandmother's face, right? And I could see her reaction. I'm like, I'm sitting like, oh, you second thinking this now, this decision I try to tell you, you having second thoughts on this decision, right? She's short and she's dark skinned. My grandma's really dark skinned, right? Really dark skinned, right? So we riding. And she's trying to do a good act, a noble thing. And every time some people, and even the white boys, you say, get out of my neighborhood. And I'm laughing. I gotta stop because she has popped the mess out of me in my mouth, right? But I'm laughing, right? Because I'm like, facts. I almost laugh out loud and I better watch myself because she a backslap. Y'all know that backslap, rabow. Like it's just a one reaction. It'll pop me right in my mouth if I don't. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, I want to laugh so bad because even little kids. So that's what I'm saying. So she trying to do a noble thing, right? And so we driving, little kids like, get out my neighborhood, nigger, right? You black nigger. And she real dark skinned, right? Right? So her car is beige, right? So we in a Buick Skylark, right? I remember this car because I crashed it one time. I stole it and crashed it, right? And it's like a I forgot that it's the shape. It looked like a Chevy Nova. I forgot what year. It's probably a 70s car. Yeah, it's a 70s or something. Yeah, it's a 70s car. And I remember it's a Buick Skylark and it's beige. And she black. She real dark skinned, right? To go off the beige with no tint windows. So all you look at the car, you can just see this black, she a black lady. She dark skinned. And little kids, old kids, you got dogs barking, bark, 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 right? Yo, these white neighborhoods, the racist ones, the whole neighborhood, they dogs be racist. Y'all know that, right? They animals be racist and all that. Like, you be like, dang, bro, everybody racist. I think the plants and stuff is racist. You know how you have a plant in your window? The plant look like, niggers, get out of our neighborhood. Like, I don't know what's going on. When these racist towns is crazy. So everybody calling her, they just yelling at the car, get out of here, niggers. And I'm sitting there like, I'm laughing. I want to say, I told you. Now, could we just turn around so I can take my bike back, my Mercedes? Right? I'm literally like, could you, so I can take this back, my Mercedes, get my Mercedes back in the hood, right? Yeah, the birds be racist. Everything is racist. I don't know how it happens. I guess it's in, you raise them up in the way and everything. Nobody that's a curse in the scriptures, though, over the black people. It said curse. The Most High said, curse be you and everything gonna be cursed. It's not funny, but you better laugh to keep from crying, And now, praise the Most High for the ministry. I'm teaching a way to come from up under the curses, right? But this is a whole fact. It's so funny. So my grandmother is riding, and she's short and she's dark skinned. My grandma's really dark skinned, right? Really dark skinned, right? So we riding. And she's trying to do a good act, a noble thing. And every time some people, and even the white boys, you say, get out of my neighborhood. And I'm laughing. I gotta stop because she has popped the mess out of me in my mouth, right? But I'm laughing, right? Because I'm like, you tripping, Grandma. If you stop this car and get out, we might not make it out of here. And she realized, right? My grandma from the South. She's from Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis in the building, right? She from Tennessee, so she know about that old slavery. You know that even worse than this, right? It's the same, but it's just different, right? So she facts, and she was born in 1919. So she know that real old slavery. So I know she getting flashbacks. I'm like, Grandma, I'm trying to tell you, I need to keep my Mercedes. He gave me this Benz, this bicycle. So I could tell her getting flashbacks, right? So she driving and she like, so she said, so we did it happened like 2 or 3 times, right? So we turned down another street. So she said, is this the street? I said, I don't know, Grandma. Grandma, we gotta leave. And she's like, yeah, she started to get light. Yeah, we gonna return this. She wasn't saying it she wasn't as aggressive as she was a couple of minutes ago, right? So I'm laughing on this. I say, I'm like, oh, you getting a wake-up call. So we driving and we get to another house, say like, pull the car over and you won't make it out of here. Pull that car over. And she looked at me. She said, I think we need to get out of here. I said, thank you, Grandma. She said, you can keep this bike. I said, thank you. And she turned that car around and she took off. I guess she had a flashback of Memphis, Tennessee. She took off and hit it. Yo, it was so funny, guys. Cause she looked up that last house. He said, they be sitting out. This summertime, they be sitting out all on the front yard and stuff. So he said, pull this car over, Igor. You pull this car over, you'll never leave this neighborhood. And she looked over at me like, I think we need to get out of this neighborhood. I'm like, you think? I'm like, that's what I tried to tell you, Grandma. You pick it up what I put down. And she said, yeah, we out of here. She hit that Buick around. She did a peel out. At first, she was all nice. My grandma, gangster, right? She a little short firecracker, right? Dot, right? That was her name, Dot, D-O-T. So Dot was no joke, right? She's short, she's firecracker, like she got Napoleon complex and stuff, right? So she ain't nice, you know what I mean? She ain't nice. She is nice, but she yell and stuff and curse you out. So that whole time, and it's so funny because she's so used to working for white people, right? Because she was a maid and stuff, right? So she's so used to treating, you put on 2 faces. So she talked to the white people. She's all nice and polite, right? And she turned around like, she'd talk all the, yes, sir, no, sir. The white bitch, she turned me, shut up, I'll knock your whole throat down to your chest or to come out your legs, be out your nose and your mouth. Like, I was like, Dad, Grandma, but you all nice to the little white Johnny. Right? And she would turn back to Johnny like, yes, little Johnny, what do you need, little Johnny? Shut your butt down before I knock the peas and naps. I knock your naps back to the, I knock your hair straight. Right? She'd be like, I knock a perm in your hair. Right? So I'm like, well, Dad, Grandma. So the whole time that we ride into the hood and she mad at me, she cursing me out. She's like, dude, these good old, get these white people back they bike. These white people work hard for their money too. You gonna get these white people. I'm like, Grandma, you don't talk all nice like this, right? Boy, when that last white said that, they said, get out of here, you Igor. If you pull that car over, you'll never make it out of here alive. The black came right back out of my grandma. She said, oh, I think we need to get out of here. I said, Dad, you talking? And she hit the car. Now all of a sudden, we was driving all nice and calm. The black woman back, she hit that car, and we out. She like, we out here. You keeping this bike? I said, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, it's frozen. Is it frozen? Am I on the screen? No, I ain't even on the screen. I thought I put myself on the screen. Sorry, guys. I thought I was on the screen the whole time. I thought y'all could see me. My bad. That would have been better if y'all could have saw me. But yeah, it should have been like this. Cause I was hitting, she hit that thing, and she was out. So I'm looking at her like, well, Grandma, I thought I was on the screen the whole time. I'm like, this is a nicer, cooler girl. This is a nicer grandma. I wish boy, she got back. She like, we out of here. She probably like, damn, these white people, you about to keep this bike. They about to kill us. And this day, I didn't get out of here for my, her car wasn't going to break down. She had a nice car. But she took off. And we out of there. You keeping this bike. Thank you. He gave it to me anyway. She didn't want to hear that though. I'm like, he gave it to me anyway. I'm not lying. She don't believe me because I used to lie. You know, little kids will lie. But I wasn't lying. I'm like, he actually gave it to me. But all right, let me let's finish the story. Hold on. I gotta go back to the setup. Bang. There we go. Make that smaller. Here we go. I'm like, there you go. Now you're talking, Grandma. Let's get out of here. You like, I can get my butt back to the project. You heard? Facts. So she took off, and we went back to the projects. We went back to Parkside, and she got there. We pulled in the parking lot. She looked at me. She said, "Don't do that no more." She said, y'all stay out of those neighborhoods. They would have killed you. I said, "I know, Grandma. I'm not going to do it no more." And I never did. I never did that again. And I stayed out of their neighborhoods as much as I can. I never did it again. And she said, "Get this bike out my trunk." And we took the bike out. And she said, "Let me see that thing." And she looked at it. She said, "That's a pretty bike." I said, "I know." I said, "Grandma, the man told me to take it." She said, "Why'd you stop?" I said, "He did, Grandma." And then I told her the story. And she said, "That's a good white man." She said, "That's a good one." You know, she's from the South. She said, "That's a good white man." And she said, "I really wish you knew where his house was." I said, "I don't remember." She said, "That's a good white man." She said, "There are some good white folks in this world, but you got to be careful. Ain't much of them." And she worked for a white family in Rockville Center. She was what they call them. His name was Mr. Linty, and they lived in a mansion in Rockville Center, Long Island. And she, like from the slavery days, she was a house, she was a maid. She wore the uniform and took care of the white babies back from the Jim Crow. She did that till she died. And do you know, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this, but I'm gonna end it with this. I watched my grandmother slave for this white man's family. And they even named my little brother Vincent after the white man's son. She slaved for this white rich man's family all of our life. She wouldn't take food stamps and welfare because she was too proud. And I didn't like that because Raheem and Whip moms, Louise wasn't too proud. And Louise got food stamps. Louise had 5 kids. Every 1st and the 15th, they had mad food. They had fruits and oranges and bananas, and they had so much food. I said, "Grandma, why?" And I said, "Grandma, why don't you get welfare so we can have a bunch of food?" Boy, anyway, I walked from her. She was too proud, which I understand. But I never. Kids are so stupid. I'm like, "Grandma, why don't you give some welfare?" And she's like, "Boy, I'm a pop welfare. What you boy?" She looked at me like I lost my mind. I don't know. Now I'm laughing, thinking about it. I'm telling her she working all her life, making sure we got everything. And I'm talking about, why don't she get welfare? Because I'm seeing the food, right? Even them got all that food. I know sometimes we got struggle bus in our refrigerator sometimes. They ain't got no struggle bus, especially on the 1st and the 15th. I'm like, "Grandma, why don't you get welfare?" She said, "Boy." I kept her cursing. Oh, I was a funny little child. We went without, but we didn't have all of Raheem house, boy. Practice for the nasty four. Every 1st and 15th, they had mad food. They had fruits and oranges and bananas, and they had so much food. I said, "Grandma, why?" And I said, "Grandma, why don't you get welfare so we can have a bunch of food?" Boy, anyway, I walked from her. She was too proud, which I understand. But I never went without, but we didn't have all of Raheem house, boy. That's what we used to practice for the nasty four. Every 1st and 15th, Wheezy, we used to call her Wheezy. Louise from the church, Wheezy had that doggone refrigerator full. They had fruits and berries and grapes and bananas, and the garden on their table, and I'm like, oh, it's the love right here. He used to slide me bananas and slide me stuff. But my grandma was too proud. Now, she slaved. Now, Laria, back then it wasn't. So back then, Laria, welfare was food stamps. So the only way to get food stamps, you had to be on welfare. So I was correct. So now it's different. Now it's two separate departments. Now they got cash, wealth, cash, and then foods. And it wasn't separate back then. It was welfare. So yeah, back then. For this white family, her whole life. I said she slaved for that family her whole life. Do you know when this white man died? Now, I'm going to give you clarity. The white man's family, he was rich. Nobody came to see him. His family just lived wherever. My grandmother took care of him hand and foot, and I was there because I was a little boy. I was raised by her. So she would take me with her to work, right? During the summertime when I wasn't in school. So I would just be in there playing with his piano and playing with his dog. And he had a big mansion, just playing in his house and, toys. She would bring toys. And I knew the white one, Mr. Linty. And she took care of him, nursed him all the way he was in his 80s, 90s till he died. Do you know when this man died? He left my grandmother nothing. He gave everything to this family who abandoned him. What I'm saying is, she was there from a young girl when he was up and robust with his wife before they died, with his kids. She raised his kids and all that. So once they all got their money, they all moved out with their life, and they never visited him, never. So all of my upbringing, I was going there. I've never seen none of them. So my grandmother took care of that man alone. He was alone. And we would come until he died. And he had the audacity not to leave her anything. That, I could never forget that. I have to forgive because I need to be forgiven. We ought to forgive. But that hurt me because I understood her respect and loyalty and love, the way she took care of him. And I seen her face and her hurt. And once he died, she had no more job. She had that job probably since she was like a teenager or something. And at this time I'm talking, she was in that 70s. And so there was no more job for her to get. So for her to lose her job, for a person who worked their whole life, that's a form of death right there. That's a form. And he left her nothing. And I could see her pain. And that wasn't okay. And they came, and I had to watch them. I was a little bit older, and I watched the hurt on my grandmother's face. She took care of him, nursed him all the way he was in his 80s, 90s till he died. Do you know when this man died, he left my grandmother nothing? He gave everything to this family who abandoned him. And they came, and I had to watch them. I was a little bit older, and I watched the hurt on my grandmother's face. When they divided the will, and they divided things, and this one got this house, this one got this house, this one got this certain amount of $1 million. Like they got all of these treasures. He left everything. This one got the piano, this one, and they just divided everything. And one of the sons felt really bad because he knew he would be the only one who would call and check up. And my grandma, when we would take him to the hospital, and sometimes he would come if it's real emergency. And he felt bad, and he gave her an old car that Mr. Linty had but it was like brand new, but it was old and it just never was driven. Because, you know, rich white people, they have those cars that have 1,000 miles and the car be 20 years old, classic car, but they never drive it, been in the garage and they just started up. It was one of those. And he gave her that and she just gave it to my father. She felt so disrespected. She just gave it to my dad. And who didn't raise me, but she raised me, whatever. Y'all know his stories in my ministry. So I watched them, because she took me with them to the will thing, and they divvied up everything, and she sat there and watched them disassemble this whole house that we were raised in, and he gave her nothing. That was that took a piece of her. She was never the same after that. She was broken. And then she didn't work anymore because that was her only job. She never got on welfare though. She just did odd stuff, odd jobs. She volunteered in the church. That's what the cheese line in the church, I got stories coming that's gonna tie into that. But that hurt. I guess he wasn't a good white man. I guess the son was better than him because the son actually gave her the car. Gave her something. Should have gave her more than that, but yeah. All right, so that story, praise the Most High. So y'all got some understanding about the foundation of New York City and how it was created. Y'all got some understanding about the landscape, and I'm sure that happened in every land, in the South, Jersey, Baltimore, Connecticut, everywhere. Detroit. In the 70s and the 60s, this was our reality. Life and death as being a child, just being black. You were hunted down in the streets like animals. And this is from curses that was placed over our head. Ancient curses of what our ancestors did. Okay, I guess that's how it stops. Wow. Well, thank you guys for taking the journey back as we something more about as we no, they knew what it was, guys. I see y'all trying to figure out what it was. No, what it was, guys, was this was old racist slavery stuff. Our ancestors would raise the kids, take care of the house, do everything. And when the people would die, they would act like they wouldn't give our people nothing. These are the curses. They would give us nothing. Like it wasn't. So no, the family knew that she raised them, the kids. When they got older and their husband, they would, she would do their weddings. Whenever they would come, she would get extra. So she had different uniforms. So I would know that they would host a party whenever the kids, because she had another uniform where she dress up and she would bring back cakes and cookies for me. I would love when they had parties and stuff, because she would bring back our refrigerator before I wake up. It'd be cakes and cookies and stuff because she'd come home late. Because she would, so no, they know she would, but that's just what they would do. They would never leave our people anything. And that's, I guess, it's part of the curses, but it don't make it. It's a horrible reality. It was, and and they go on with their life. They don't care. They got their millions and stuff. They divvied up everything. I'm like, wow. And that was it. All right. So, yeah, it didn't even end with a. Oh, I think it did. Yeah, I think it did. I'm like, that was it. All right, but thank you guys for joining Uncle Yashua 25 to Life Testimony TV. Thank you for everyone for reliving the stories. So next week will probably be a newer story, but every now and then we will be revisiting some of the other videos, but adding to them and making it the video clip itself, because sometimes I tell a couple of stories within the one story on the channel, right? So as we as we revisit, we'll be adding more things into the videos. Another one down. Uncle Yahshua 25 to Life Testimony TV. Keep it functional, everybody out there. Y'all already know. The moral of the story is stay your butt out those people neighborhood. Like, they got sundown towns now, right? And these sundown towns are actually the same thing. And it's the same thing. You get caught in these towns, you can lose your life. You understand? It's not nothing to play with. So be careful when you have to drive cross country and when you're driving, and just keep your reality, keep it on the front of your mind that even though some things has changed, some things haven't. Serpent spirit people, they have whole towns that they don't want you, you know, you can lose your life. Be careful where you move, be careful how you move. Keep your head on swivel and understand that there are dark people out there in this world. There are good people too, but they're more, I think it's more dark people than good. I don't know the average ratio. Probably is, because more unlawful people. You understand? So for the righteous people, we got to keep our head on swivel, and we got to fight against all the negative stuff out there.
Bossy, you know what it is.
You heard? That's what we got to do. We got to fight all darkness in all shapes, form, or fashion. When darkness rears its ugly head, we tell it,
Bossy, you know what it is.
So, y'all out there, I love y'all. Thank you to the ministry. And for everybody else, I hope y'all enjoyed tonight's story time. I hope y'all enjoyed. All right, I love you all. I'll see everybody in the ministry. I'll see y'all on the Zoom tomorrow. And everybody else, I'll see y'all on the ministry. Uncle Yahshua, Mashiach Assembly, House of Yah Ministries on YouTube. And Wednesday, we going live. Y'all already know what we doing. Y'all already know we're gonna be kicking some dark spiritual butt.
Bossy, you know what it is.
All right, I love y'all. Uncle Yahshua 25 to Life Testimony TV. Testimony TV family. All right, we out. See y'all on the next one.
This is 25 to Life with Uncle Yahshua.
You wanna know why they call me Lucky Lucha? They call me Lucha cause I like to tuck that choochie. All the time on the grind getting that doochie. This is a little story on 25 to Life with Uncle Yahshua. Like and subscribe for more incredible stories every week.
Police are on the scene of a triple homicide on Long Island. It happened overnight at a home in Hempstead.
I'm from Hempstead, Parkside, the ghetto, the dark side, strong, the wrong, they think I'm supposed to burn. Am I bad, motherfucker?